Good morning, viewers at home. Welcome to the program SuperDawn. I am Vera Super with you on this edition of the program.
And it's blessed among us. Good morning. And good morning, viewers, and good morning, Vera.
Good morning to you.
You look awesome this morning.
Thank you. Yesterday, something happened in the sporting world, and I'm sure if you go to the vendor stand this morning, you will see loads of footballers, lovers of football there at the vendor stand, talking about that fantastic outing yesterday. Yes, it was fantastic because nobody expected that Roma will win. Oh my goodness. Blessed, it was a fantastic match where Barcelona met Lonia in that game.
It was a fight for fights, really.
It was a pitch game, man. Oh my goodness. Bassi was supposed to avoid a 3-goal against them, but unfortunately yesterday the supposedly best player, good striker, happy player couldn't help them. Messi of all people couldn't. I don't know what happened. He couldn't just make it work yesterday. What happened to that date? I'm sure Bassi fans will not believe it. They wouldn't believe it. And also there was another one, Liverpool. Oh my goodness, had a fantastic outing yesterday again. Well, we're not here for football, but I just decided to bring it because it's making the rounds right now, and every sport lovers are wondering what happened there. What happened yesterday? Was it the rain that fell 2 days ago? Was it what happened? Nigerians cannot stop asking what really happened. Well, when we get to the sporting segment this morning, I'm sure it's going to be heated. Bet you it's going to be a must-watch segment. And of course, that doesn't mean you're not going to watch all the segment. First, what we usually do on this program is to look at the newspaper review, and loads of things are happening. And of course, we're going to open the phone lines for you to call, make your contributions. Away from that, we want to look at Mr. President. We're looking at 2019 elections. That particular election will be another thing altogether. It might reset history. It might bring a lot of victories. It might bring also sadness. So this year preceding the 2019 election is very important. Now, on Monday, during the working committee of the APC, that's the ruling Progressive Congress, President announced his re-election bid. And since that day, up to today, counter reactions have been on. Well, we'll get to that segment, and of course, again, we're going to open the phone lines for you to call and make your contribution. I'm smiling because today is going to be going to be reactions and upon reactions. Well, we will go on this break. When we come back, we want to look at some stories in the papers. Don't go anywhere.
SuperDawn, your daily live current affairs program, where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us. SuperDawn, your daily live current affairs program, where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. Well, it's the newspaper review segment, and we want to look at the Punch this morning. It says here, go home and defend yourselves with stones. Autumn tells IDPs. Go home and defend yourselves with stones. Blessed. The Benue State governor saying, go home, get stones and defend yourself.
Vera, with this situation of insecurity in our country here, and then with regards to former Chief of Army Staff, General T.Y. Danjuma, his comment, I think Nigerians should be thinking of how to be self-defendants now. It's not really about you relying on the military. If they are not available, whatever you think it's available for you, just like the government, the governor has said there, just go ahead and defend yourself.
So if you see stones and Goliath is in front of you, you would know what to do. But let's get this one this morning. Let me read the story. The Benue State Governor, Samuel Otom, on Tuesday told the internally displaced persons who were displaced due to Fulani herdsmen's attack to go back home and use stones to defend themselves. This, he said, was because he was tired of keeping IDPs in camps. Otom explained that the killing in the state had become one too many, to such an extent that people were running for their homes. He said he was tired. It's expensive keeping them in camps, actually. With what budget? I
can really feel the pain of the governor, taking care of the IDPs and also trying to meet up with his expectations, his promises to the people as regarding his promises to the people as regarding the politics, the elections. So I will say at this point in time that if the governor can make an effort, to ensure that the security personnel or the security team in the states work together to safeguard those people, fine, they can. But if you know he can't, then it's left for the people to see how they can defend themselves.
Okay, he also says here, let's read this. Autumn stated that the killings were becoming uncontrollable and charged them to embrace self-defense. But the truth is, can you really defend yourself with stones alone? Where these guys are carrying, these wicked and heartless people are carrying AK-47. Will you defend yourself? But stones can help anyway. It might help.
To the extent it can.
Okay, we have the story also in the Punch. UI accommodation fee hike. Others inevitable, says VC. The Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, Professor Idowu Olayinka, on Tuesday said the recent accommodation fee hike and introduction of other fees by the institution were due to decrease in funding by the federal government. So you're hiking accommodation fee for students that is University of Ibadan, for God's sake. It's not even a private university and a federal university. And some parents don't even have money. That's why they are putting their words in the university.
Certainly.
Some big men in the society, I'm talking about big people, went to school there. Now the school is putting hiking fees, telling students it's inevitable. What do you think this?
No, my point here is, before those people come to this conclusion, have they really consulted the necessary body before taking this decision? I don't think it's really fair. Normally, education ought to be free from the primary, secondary, even to the tertiary level. But I really don't see any reason why the fee should be hiked. If
especially now, isn't it?
Exactly, with the way the economy is. So if they can do something for the plight of those students, some of them are coming from a poor home, so if they can do something to bring it down to a level whereby their parents can be able to afford it, fine. And I also want to use this opportunity to appeal to the federal government to come into the situation. It's a federal university, for crying out loud, and then they should see what they can do. The Minister of Education should see what he can do about it, so that students can return back to school. Seeing our students, the future leaders of this country, protesting, it's a call for, if you ask me very well.
I'm going to take what he also said here. He said the university could only accommodate 30% of the 27,000 population because there was only 8,222 bed spaces available. So what they can do is just 30%. It means even the 30%, the fees are being hiked. And if you allow students People were saying some other people to go to school. We're trying to force education, and now you're hiking fee, you're hiking all the fees, accommodation, because getting accommodation outside school is even more expensive.
Exactly.
Some students cannot even afford accommodation, and that's why they're saying, if I pay school fees, where will I stay? And that is making loads of people not go to school. I think the federal government really, what Blessed has said, should look into this and just help out.
Exactly.
And the other day we read where another state increased fees. At this time again, I don't think we need to increase anything right now.
Exactly.
Okay, we're going to take this story, and it says here, why insecurity persists in Nigeria. Wiki. The Rivers State Governor, Wilson Wike, has stated that the nation's security degenerated dangerously because All Progressive Congress, federal government, chose to play politics with security challenge in Rivers State. What's your take?
Vera,
excuse me.
I think the situation of insecurity in Nigeria is something we need to look into seriously. Let's get all our teams together, the Nigerian Air Force, the Army, and the Nigerian Police, the NAVA. Let's come together and see how we can provide a meaningful and final solution to insecurity in Nigeria. Okay,
we also have this one, bribe. Police arrest, detain 5 SARS operatives in Lagos. The Lagos State Police Command has arrested 5 operatives of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad for allegedly harassing a businessman in the state for bribe after seizing his company's document. The state police public relations officer Chike Oti said the men were attached to the Abakodo-based SARS, and I commend this action and it's very important what the IGP is doing right now in the police force. The police are supposed to be orderly. They are supposed to keep guard. They are supposed to protect. And when you begin to see people that are supposed to protect you and people that are supposed to instill discipline are the ones now not being disciplined. I think this action is good for them.
Exactly.
Okay, finally, from this, OAU lecturers demand probe of alleged sex-seeking professor. OAU lecturers demand probe of alleged sex-seeking professor. The Congress of the University Academics of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, and the National Association of Nigerian Students have called for investigation into alleged sex for marks scandal against a lecturer of the institution. This is another commendable one. I'm reading this morning. I'm so excited.
I'm as well excited as you are, Vera. Sex for Mark, Nigerian institution. I think we need to look into that deeply. This is not the first of its kind. It has been happening. It's something that is even rampant in Nigerian institutions today. And as this case has also been exposed, let's try as much as we can, those involved, to speak out so that much of those lecturers can also be exposed and students can actually really gain their freedom. Because I feel some of the students are under some certain bondage. When you're giving a particular student a mark just to get something in return, it shows you're killing that particular student.
The moral.
That's it.
I don't even understand. In school, you hear all sorts, you witness all sorts, where a lecturer will begin to, I don't know how that comes. A lecturer that you are instilling whatever academics, and you begin to ask for sex, you begin to demand, and you have to give so you get marks. What will the future be?
I really
if
can't
everybody
tell.
is giving their bodies 4 marks, what will the future be? Really, and finally, I take this one. It says Buhari has muggled the anti-graft war, says Kwara speaker. You need to get hold of the Punch this morning to read more on that.
And I'm doing Vanguard this morning, and on the Vanguard newspaper this morning, the front page, Buhari's one-term offer in 2011 no longer applies. Presidency. That's coming from the presidency. Buhari's one-term offer in 2011 no longer applies. What's the story telling us? The special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, said yesterday that his principal's 2011 statement that he would be president for one term was not applicable anymore. Vera? What do you think?
Well, this re-election is all we're doing today. Let's just leave that.
But don't you think Nigerians will have to question the president's integrity? He said in 2011 when he was contesting for presidency that he's going to apply for just one term. And after that term, he was going to retire. But
if you hear what the president said, if you followed what he said, where he was seeking for re-election bid, he said Nigerians clamor for this. The clamor came in by Nigerians. And so you might say something, it does happen. And if Nigeria, the question is, do they really clamor for that? Well, that was what the president said anyway.
Well, 2019 will really tell if Nigeria really clamored for that.
Okay, we'll know that through your vote, because it's going to count.
Exactly. Still on the Vanguard this morning, the Zani may forfeit 28 million euro jewelry to FG. You can get that on page 12 of the Vanguard newspaper. FG can't seize my assets, Ekweremadu tells court. You can get that on page 34 on the Vanguard newspaper. Let me take some quick stories here. I have this interesting story that says, I made over 100 million from kidnapping, says Herdsman in Edo State. The story reads, the Edo State Police Command yesterday paraded a notorious kidnapper, Moritala Maru, who confessed to have made over 100 million from kidnapping. Maru, who is also a herdsman, was apprehended with an AK-47 rifle, breech number K03401119, and 10 rounds of 7.6 mm ammunition. Vera, this man said he made 100 million naira from kidnapping. So which means that when these herdsmen kidnap their victim, they don't just let them go for free. Something has to go for it. And herdsmen are now making more money, not only from farming now, or for cattle rearing, but also for kidnapping.
No. You know that, one, we must begin to look at why this is happening in Nigeria. Our borders are porous. So when you're saying headers doing all of these things, they do it. They might want transport or carry their clients outside the country. Will I say clients or their abductors?
Yes, abductors.
Outside this country. And so there's a link. And you begin to look at this. If we do not nip it
in the bud,
people will be making monies out of it. Us.
Exactly.
One, they will be making money because you're negotiating with terrorists. Two, they will make money because, you know, we cannot really get them apprehended. But if we begin to get these people and you begin to just jail them or give them one judgment that will send them life imprisonment, you will see that this will reduce. It's just wickedness. It's not about the monies actually. It's just someone is playing tricks with Nigerians.
I go with you, Vera. Obasanjo, Osinbajo, others eulogize Adebanjo at 90. And you can get that inside the front papers of the Vanguard this morning. The rainy season are here, and the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAR, yesterday issued a weather hazard alert to all pilots and airline operators indicating hazard associated with flight operation during the raining season. The raining seasons are here again. You trained them 2 days ago. It was really serious. So if you're flying and if you're traveling by air, just try and make sure that you understand the weather very well and know when to fly. And I think that's all I'll take on the Vanguard this morning, although there are a lot of interesting headlines here and also stories. You can also find on page 9 of the Vanguard, Buritai set up standing court martial for officers exposed to politics. That's all on the Vanguard this morning. If you want to know more about what the Vanguard is saying, go get a copy.
Okay, we'll go on this break. Don't forget you can call us. We'll go on this break. When we come back, SuperDawn will continue with the newspaper review. Stay with us. Welcome back. We'll still continue with the newspaper review, and we have the Nation newspaper this morning. This here says, exposed, Oyegun's hidden agenda on tenure extension. And the writer says, party, no such plot. Rather than go away, tenure elongation is still haunted at the All Progressive Congress. Some of its members yesterday cried out over the content of the memo presented to the National Executive Committee meeting on Monday by the chairman, John Oyegun. They claimed that a portion of the memo was aimed at achieving tenure extension through back door. But the party leadership denied having any hidden plan to extend its tenure. That's for Oyegun. We also have another story here. Protest as Buhari arrives in London. And the writer says, presidency, looters behind it. Some Nigerians living in London yesterday protested against President Muhammadu Buhari. The protesters stormed the Abuja House in London, where President is staying, blaming him for the nation's ills.
Vera, I really don't want to be biased here, but the fact still remains that Nigerians really need change. Nigerians everywhere in the world, wherever the country they are based currently, they're seeing what is going on in the country, and they can no longer take it anymore. We really need change. So for them to protest, it's giving a strong signal that, Mr. President, your second term.
I don't know if you need change for Nigerians. We here, I don't know what he's talking about here. But I know that the story I read says Nigerians protested in London. And the presidency had their own saying that looters are behind it. Could it be that actually looters are behind these protests yesterday? All sorts happen when it comes to Nigeria and politics. But from presidency, they are saying looters are behind this. We also have this story here. I'll take some stories on the Punch. Very interesting story says by Onayekon. It says, Buhari, age may not matter in 2019 polls. We also have declaration beats Buhari's men against opponents. It's a feature in the Nation newspaper this morning. You can get a hold of that. Another comment segment of the Nation says, authority looting. You need to go and get that. Understanding Ajasi University fee hike. I don't know how you want people to understand this. Fee hike is fee hike. And the economy is not making it better for anybody. I don't think any school should even go hiking fees. If you really need more money, I think you need to talk to the authority. Maybe you need to maybe just write a letter or go to Asu Rock to meet Mr. President or something. But hiking fee and discouraging people from going to school, that is not good. We also have this segment, finally this one, from the Nation newspaper this morning, and it says here, education, education, and education. And I'll read this. With Zamfara presenting only 28 candidates for Unity School entrance exam, we emphasize again the importance of education. Very interesting, I must say, very interesting right on here. Get hold of the Nation newspaper and read more on that. Yes.
Finally, on the tabloid this morning is Daily Trust, and on the headline, APC notifies INEC to release timetable. The APC, the All Progressive Congress, has submitted a 21-day notice to the Independent National Electoral Commission, a requirement for the conduct of congresses and national convention. Party sources confirmed this yesterday. Also said the timetable for world's local government and state congresses are, as well as the national convention, might be rolled out before the end of this week. If you want to know more about the APC convention, just get a copy of the Daily Trust. And also there's another interesting story here. The president's UK trip, why Buhari didn't write National Assembly. Why Buhari didn't write National Assembly. You can get that on page 8 of Daily Trust. I'll just quickly go through that story. President Muhammadu Buhari did not write to the National Assembly on his trip to the United Kingdom. Daily Trust gathered a plenary section yesterday At plenary section yesterday, Senate President Bukola Saraki read 4 letters from the president, excluding the one on his trip to the UK. Buhari had previously written to the National Assembly in line with Section 145, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution. The president departed the country on Monday for UK and is expected to be back till April the 20th. Why the president didn't write the National Assembly, I really do not know about that. And if you want to know more of that story, you can just check the Daily Trust. And still on the Daily Trust this morning, misreaction as far as a bulldozer pulled down houses. I really don't know if you are aware of the story going on in Ekiti currently, how the governor is pulling down houses because he's planning to construct, I guess, a massive infrastructure in the state. But do you think pulling down houses is the best thing at this point?
Well, you see, I don't like to be sentimental. I don't like to sound like that. But if a governor wants to pull down houses, I know what they do is negotiate with the owners of those houses and maybe give them money back. Then you can do that. If it's for infrastructure, it means you're trying to build the state. But while building the state, someone has a CFO of a particular land, and that makes him the bona fide owner of the land. If you're pulling down structure without compensating the owners of this structure, it is bad. But if you pull down structure and you compensate the owners of the structure, remember when you're doing the when you're compensating them, you have to look at the now and when they got that land and the value of the land now. That's what you use for compensation. Remember those Morocco houses, that was demolished also. I know the way the country is going, people are evolving, Nigeria is evolving, and things are moving at the same time. Yes, you can demolish, but you must give compensation to those that owns those buildings. All
right, that's well said. You can find that story and get other reactions on page 29 of the Daily Trust. That's the Daily Trust paper this morning, and with that, we'll come to the end of the tabloid review. Well,
that's the end of the tabloid review. Up next, we want to look at the re-elections. The President Muhammadu Buhari, declared openly that he was going to is seeking a re-election. Before now, he has been asked whether or not he will seek for it, and both himself and the aides couldn't tell us if he will. So there was suspension for some time, and when he was asked, he said he didn't want to heat up the polity at that time. But on Monday, during the National Executive Committee meeting, he opened up and said, hey, I want a re-election. And that's what we're looking at. Now, lots of stories came out from there, where we read even this morning that in the UK, there was protest there, and also some Nigerians, counter reactions and reaction is happening right now. We want to look at it. The phone lines is open. You can also reach us. We're live on YouTube. You can get us, and we want your reaction. Do you think it's coming at the right time? Were you expecting him to elect himself? Are you expecting him to open up to say he wants to come back? Or you're already giving up before that? You're very sure he wasn't going to do that? So is this a surprise? Let's go on a break. When we come back, well, Anthony, one of us, our crew, will join us in that discussion with our guests. Yes, let's go on this break. We'll be right back.
SuperDawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen Television. Let your voice be heard. Join us. SuperDawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen Television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. We're looking at President Muhammadu Buhari's declaration is seeking for second term this morning. And we have a guest in the studios this morning. Our guest is here. We want to hear from him. Good morning to you, Chidi. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
He's a social commentator. Good morning to you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
How did you welcome this declaration by Mr. President?
It's something. The only thing that would have shocked me is if he didn't declare that he was going to run. So it wasn't a surprise. The thing about power, especially in the third world, is that power can be very seductive. You know, especially when you exercise untrammeled, you know, power. So I wasn't really surprised. You know, the president himself, some time ago, he had wished that he were a younger person so that he can be much more agile and much more active. By that admission alone, he had already disqualified himself from continuing in office as president of the country. For me, if he loved the country enough, because, you know, he admitted on that basis, on that statement, that he can never be able to give his best. I mean, if he's complaining, he said, I wish I were younger. And meaning he would have done a lot more if he were younger.
That states that he's not going to do more.
No, but, I mean, by implication, that's what he was saying. And there's no other presupposition. There's no other implication for that statement. That he realizes that he does not have all it takes in terms of, you know, the agility, in terms of, you know, the capacity of health, maybe, you understand, to give as much as he would have wanted to give. So when you have somebody that is patriotic enough, that's the way I see it, you know, who also understands that he is limited on the basis of his age to actually give his best to the country, then the best patriotic duty he would have done is to give way to somebody else, or to help look for a successor that he believes will be able to give those things that he cannot give because of old age. But like I said, I'm not surprised that he made that declaration that he was going to seek for a second term. Like I said, it can be very...
In 2015, he said he was just going to run for just one term.
Thank you.
And now he's, you know, coming out for re-election. And reason being that Nigerians actually clamored for this. That was what he said. Do you think Nigerians are actually clamoring for Buhari to come forward as the president again?
No, you see, the issue is that in a way that could be subjected to some extent, but the reality is that by that statement again, and that's why you see sometimes when these people, you know, our leaders make this kind of statements, you are actually asking yourself how much, you know, they understand what is going on in this country and what is expected of them. Because by that statement itself, he is telling Nigerians that if not for the fact that Nigerians want him to rule, he would have preferred not to remain on the scene as president. That again is the presupposition of that statement, that it is not his will, it is not primarily his desire to go for a second term, but it is because Nigerians want him to go for a second term. But we know that governance at this level, especially when with the country being in the position she finds herself, instability everywhere, frustration, you know, by people and the rest and all of that, you need somebody that is zealous, somebody that is driven by a passion, you know, to want to do something. But now it would appear that the president's passion...
The president is not...
No, he is not saying that he's being driven by passion. He's saying that it is the passion of the people that is pushing him to run for the presidency. And so, as for whether, you know, people ask you a question, whether Nigerians are clamoring for him and all of that, well, I am a Nigerian. I am one Nigerian that is not actually clamoring for the president, you know, to come back to power.
Okay, could it be that Nigerians are insatiable? Yes. Is it that we cannot be satisfied? We needed a president in 2015, and we got a president that we wanted. And when he came in, it said he was going to fight corruption. And this man started fighting corruption. You saw some cases came up where some people were exposed. Monies in stomach of everything happening. But aside that, so I will allow you, aside all of those revelations, and the president felt maybe, according to him, Nigerians clamored, the clamor by Nigerians for him to do so came up because maybe he had more to give. Maybe the time was short. Do you think that was what happened here?
Vera, you know, they say, you know, I mean, with the kind of political class we have, there's this saying that they learn nothing, they forget nothing. And I think that that is, you know, same with Nigeria and our leadership. But again, there's also this saying that it is same of the same, you know, that the more things seem to change, the more they remain the same. And so you have a movement in this country, you know, you have motion in this country, but you realize that there is no movement, you know. What do I mean? Virtually everything that is happening now, that has happened in this government, are things that happened in previous governments. There's no change. If you talked about the corruption thing and the rest, and I now ask, what is different between the corruption that has been fought and the one that was fought during Nuhu Ribadu, under Obasanjo and the rest? A lot of movements and all of that. They did this, they went to court, people were exposed. Nuhu Ribadu came to the National Assembly, said about 32 governors were under investigation and all of that. How many of those governors went to jail? Not one single person. And then a few people were given a slap on the wrist. And of course, in as much as some of us also criticized that treatment of these people under the Jonathan administration and so on, at least 1 or 2 or 3, I think, were convicted, including this man from Edo State, and a few other people were also indicted and also had to settle and the rest.
I don't know about how to settle.
No, you might. No, you know, because I mean that settlement is plea bargaining.
Okay,
no, of course, settlement through plea bargaining.
Okay.
That is, yeah. So there's nothing new about that. Yes. Yeah. It's plea bargaining. Okay. Yeah. So these are some of the issues. And now, when you now talk about you know, people clamoring, is it that the president now feels that he can give more? People feel that he can give more, and all of that. But this is the beauty of democracy. This president came in against the backdrop of frustration with what was going on in the country, and people wanted a change. And there were people that were ready to transcend, you know, that parochial level, parochialism, whether it was religious, it was ethnic, or whatever. Nigerians wanted to look beyond all of these things and say, look, it doesn't matter where the president is coming from, let us vote for this man. And the president was duly voted for Nigeria. So there was a lot of expectation, a lot of hope, you know, a lot of positive vibe with regards to the Buhari presidency. They wanted to believe something positive about this country, and they wanted to believe something positive about President Buhari. So the fact that today there is this consistency of negative discourse around his presidency and that of the APC as a ruling party, you know, clearly tells you. And because the APC, instead of accepting reality, the APC government, instead of accepting what is going on and look for ways to amend their ways if it's possible, they are focused on hitting back at those people who are criticizing them. They are focused on attacking the people who are saying you have failed. You understand? The party leadership, they fight back. I mean, the other time I was in a program where I think the Minister of Information, they are talking about this same issue of the president announcing his intention to run and the rest. And then the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, was trying to imply, that was about 2 days ago, was trying to imply that those people who are kicking against it and all of that, that is hate speech. I was accusing them of hate speech. You understand? You know, it's all politics. It's all politics, and so the reality is about they shouldn't be too hard on the people who are criticizing them, because believe me, a lot of those who are angry, who are criticizing them today, are the very people who voted for them. There was a reason why they voted for them. And if those reasons are not being actualized, are not being fulfilled, they also have a right.
Okay, as you understand? The presidential seat. Back when Obasanjo had ruled for 2 terms, he actually came out, he wanted to rule for a 3rd term.
Yeah.
And now we have a president that says he's ruling for just 1 term, and now he wants to rule for another term. What is it about, what do you have to say about these leaders, Yar'Adua, Obasanjo, President Buhari, that have ruled and still ruling, still want to come back for another term? Obasanjo had ruled before, he came back. Same with Yar'Adua and the rest of them. So what's it about the seat? Is it a personal gain? Is it just politics?
No, well, it doesn't really matter what the intention is, truly. I mean, what matters is what the constitutional provision is. And the constitutional provision says, look, you have the right as a Nigerian to run for the presidency of this country. Anybody, including you, sitting here in the studio. You understand? And then the people also have a right to decide whether you are fit to run and to be voted for and all of that. So it is clear. But then again, beyond that, even beyond the issue of the intention, is that the people themselves, the ordinary people, the Nigerians, the electorate, the voters have failed to exercise their mandate, of supervising the activities of the politicians or the political class. Somebody said somewhere that the price for democracy is eternal vigilance, and that is our responsibility when the politicians are failing in their duties. It's not only to wait till the end of election so that you vote them out. There's something you need to do. You need to continue to also monitor them even while they are in power. Sometimes
I'm going to be direct with my question to you. You talked about we should monitor because we're looking ahead of 2019 elections, and lots of things will come up, and some names too will also come up because for once the president is entitled to seek for a re-election. It's his right anyway, and it's also Nigerians' right to cast their votes, to choose who they want as a president. But looking at what came up yesterday in UK, in London, when the president arrived, some Nigerians gathered and said, hey, you have destroyed our land. We do not want you, and all sorts happened yesterday. But presidency came to say that it was because of the looters list. Look, what's your take on that?
You see, this is precisely the reason why the APC is showing that they are a misfit as a political party in this country. You understand? The PDP also went the same way and also did the similar thing and all of that. And I keep on saying there were also protests against Jonathan's government in London.
Yes.
You understand? During his tenure, there were protests. By whom? By some of the same people that are also protesting against Buhari. Now, so what's the implication of that? That the people are neither for this side or neither for this side, but are for this country. They are committed to this country. And so they also have a right to, to understand the dynamics that are going on in this country from their own perspective. And if that perspective implies that they take action, you understand, against the misgovernance of their country, what they perceive to be the misgovernance of their country, then they have rights. I just saw it. I mean, what you just talked about, it was good you mentioned it, but I wanted to go there. Now people are protesting. And you say the reason why they are protesting is because looters are behind it. It is because the government released, a list of looters. But did the government truly release a list of looters? We know the looters in this country. We have an idea of who they are. You understand? And we know that a lot of these looters are in the present government, just as you also have them outside of this government within the PDP and the rest, and so on. So why would you now continue to play politics with this? Nigerians have an idea. They themselves accused some of the people that have now joined the camp from the PDP to the APC. They themselves accused them, those same people, of looting the treasury of this country. But as soon as these people entered into the APC, their sins were forgiven. We have seen it. So on what basis are you saying it is because you release a list of looters when people also know that majority of these looters are also in your camp? Majority of these looters. We talked about one list. We see that the issue is that they have opened up a Pandora's box. You understand? And all kinds of things will come out of it. So what Nigerians are saying is go the whole hog. You understand? We know those people, and there's nothing you can tell Nigerians. We have an idea about the people who have looted the treasure of this country. Before late Dr. Tuji Brechtwe died, there was something he wrote in the papers, or maybe in an interview with one of the major newspapers in the country, and he described the government, as that of Alibaba and the 40 thieves. It was public knowledge. You understand? Yes, you say they all find the president is okay, he's a good guy, he's clean and the rest. But what of the 40 thieves that are around the president and all of that? And a word says somewhere, a statement to the effect that you show me your friends and I will show you who you are. These are some of the issues. So people are worried. You have a president that is clean, or that is said to be clean, but surrounded by people who are dirty. What does that show? What does that show about the person of the president and so on. That's why people are saying, get rid of these people.
Okay,
so that we can begin to assess you from other perspectives.
I want you to, now that the president has put in for re-election, what does this have to say about next year's tenure? Like, what's your review? I want you to see for the future. What do you think is Nigeria as it stands? If,
let me tell you,
yes,
that when the political class, some of the political class, you know, when some of the political class gathered around the president, you know, don't forget that this president had, was it one of the elections that he contested, you know, and failed in? He had over, is it over about 10 million votes, yes, or so? Yes. You understand? That made it significant that he was somebody to be watched, somebody that had serious inelectable potentials. And so when the politicians in their desperation to get to power and remove the PDP by all means, I mean, they saw that he had the potential, so they rallied around him, gave him all the support and the rest, and he became president. But they tapped into his popularity, especially in parts in the north. And then there was this myth that was woven around him as a clean guy, as a disciplined person, and all of that. So they were able to successfully tap into the mindset of Nigerians who were desperate for a change, who wanted the PDP government of Goodluck Jonathan gone by every means legally, possible, gone. You know, and so there was huge popularity. I mean, he had a lot of huge following and popularity leading to that particular election, and you saw what happened at the end of the day. He won. But one thing I can tell you is that popularity has dwindled drastically.
Okay, I'm going to ask you that question, but there's a caller here. Hello, good morning to you.
Well, good morning.
Good morning to you.
This is the problem from Ebudemeta.
Okay, go ahead.
Buhari declaring to have a second term or seeking a second term.
Yes.
You know, I told you the other day that I don't see how I don't want to sound, you know, what I want to say actually is that, for God's sake, what is it that Buhari wants to do in the second term? He met exchange rate at 180. At the time it was 500 and something naira. Today it's 366. He met fuel price at the filling station at 87 naira. Today it's 145 or 200 and something naira. As I told you, is in detention for over 2 years. The court ordered that he should be released. He's still there. Nigerians are suffering. They are serious hunger. And they are saying Buhari is a man of integrity. And I say no. Why am I saying no? He was chairman of PTF. What happened under him as PTF? When he was the sheriff as the chairman of PTF, he brought in a company called APC as a project consortium with Amanda Lijo, later Amanda Lijo. And what happened? Go and look at Dr. Arona Dada.
But Dapo, I guess you voted for him. You knew all of these things before you casted your vote, isn't it?
So, no, honestly, I campaigned seriously against him in 2015. But I'm happy now that Nigerians now know better. And it's even good that Jonathan handed over, and Jonathan gave Nigerians the opportunity of knowing who President Buhari is, and they have seen it clear. They've seen it clearly now. And I don't see how any person who has seen it now will now say, I want to give this person a second term. I just don't want to.
Your opinion. Thank you so much for your contribution. Yes, you heard what Dapo said, but you know, Nigerians needed a change. You said so that time, and we got one. Why is it that Nigerians cannot be satisfied?
Why would they?
Why you answer one question, 2 questions in one. Aside that, again, I want also you to tell me why you think this president doesn't deserve a second term. I want you to give us a percentage of what he's done. Has he failed totally? Well, he didn't perform at all.
I don't know why you are asking why Nigerians are not satisfied, because they tested something, they didn't like it, they tested another one, they didn't like it, and then all of a sudden they are not satisfied. Nigerians are not a very difficult people to govern. I'm telling you the truth.
So what is happening? What's going on here?
You see instances where a governor, performs his constitutional duties. He builds roads, bridges and the rest, and then he becomes a superstar in the mindset of Nigerians. And we know that that should not be. We shouldn't be praised for doing what we are supposed to do in the first place and all of that. So that tells you that Nigerians truly, once they see a little bit of, performance from their political leaders, are ready, to stick with them. But what we have seen to get Nigerians to this level of apathy, of frustration with their political leaders, it has taken not 1 year or 4 years of Buhari. It has taken 57, 58 years from independence. Consistency in misgovernance in this country. That is why the country is the way it is today. So now I was saying something, yes, that the myth surrounding the president has been broken. All the myth about discipline, self-discipline, and how he has been able to handle his family, keep them out of the public glare, not allowing his kids, to be involved in politics and so on, and taking advantage of his influence through patronage and the rest, and all of these things have been broken. Now people understand that the son had, a power bike of about $58,000 and all of that. It was in the public space. People also understand so many things, that have gone on. All of these things aimed at demystifying, resulted in demystifying that aura that surrounded him. So people have seen him, and they're able to better judge him on the basis of his involvement in governance. So at that level, with the anger and the frustration that is in the land, you cannot look. You are asking me. I told you that on a program I was in, the Minister of Information was called. He was spoken to, and he gave an assessment of the president's announcement of his intention to run again once more and the rest. And then he also ended up by saying that on all the base indices on which the president was elected, that he has achieved all of them, he has fulfilled all. And so when I responded, I said, look, on all counts on which this president was elected, he has failed in every single one.
So give us a percentage.
You understand? So of what?
You mean he has failed totally? If
I'm going to score the president, I'll score him about 40% or 35%.
On what areas will you score him?
In all. I just told you in economy. Somebody just gave a few indices, and this is not all of it. You understand? They have, even the level of borrowing that we have seen in the past since they came into power has been, I would say unprecedented, but they have done it with a certain level without looking at the future. The way they have gone about it and all of that. So many other issues in the country. Are you talking about healthcare? There's been no improvement on the basis of the statement he made. Why he asked when he was in Chatham House to address the international community before he became president, he asked why Nigerian leaders, why he has to, as a president, have to go abroad to treat himself when he cannot do all of this treatment here in Nigeria and the rest. These are the things he said. This is the truth. You understand? So you can see the deplorable health care situation in this country. It has gotten far worse, And then mentioned the economy. You talk about insecurity. And in fact, the insecurity is maybe, it's even worse. And his body language and that of his lieutenants, Minister of Defense, Inspector General of Police, and the rest have, sown seeds of alarm in the minds of people. You understand?
Speaking of insecurity, we agree that this last 3 years has been years with a lot of menace.
Yeah, that was his strongest point.
We've had insurgents, we have herdsmen, we've had lots of killings, kidnapping, and the rest of it. And there's been this party sort of blame game going on, saying it's all staged, it's all politicized.
No, it's standard. It's standard politics. Politicians must play politics.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. First, I'm going to ask you 2 questions.
Yeah.
First, do you think all these things are being politicized? Do you think they're actually making lots of money from it? And if these politicians are actually involved in this, what is the effect on the 2019 election pollings?
Wait, I think it's clear. We saw from, like I said, the security issue was the strongest point. Don't forget when Jonathan, under serious pressure in the country, I'm sure it was a statement that a lot of people, especially the media, picked up when he said he's not a field marshal, he's not a general. You understand? But he forgot that he's commander-in-chief of the armed forces of this country. And so people had that also against him. And in the election of 2015, they wanted a general, they wanted a field marshal. They wanted, and Buhari was a general, retired though. Somebody who could come in and handle the security situation properly and teach these people a lesson, that this country is bigger than they are and the rest. And what has he done? He has shown by virtue of what he's been unable to do that, yes, he's a general, and but as president of this country, he has lost touch. He is not in control of the security situation of this country. That is why these killings have continued unabated, and so then I think there was one other thing you asked.
Yes, how does it actually affect?
Yeah, the 2019. No, because it affected the 2015 election. That was one of the things that got Jonathan removed. He couldn't, secure the borders of this country. He couldn't secure the lives and properties of Nigerians and so on. Don't forget that Nigerians they are worried about two things, or maybe three. And there was the issue of security, which was number one. There was the issue of corruption, which was at a very high level in his government. There was the issue of the economy, which then was horrible, but now which people are saying is better than even what you are having today and all of that.
So the politicians are involved in this, and we have a high level of insecurity. How does the electorate get encouraged to come out and vote?
It's a continuous process. Democracy is a continuous process. That is the issue. That's why I said we have to hold our leaders accountable. And in so many ways, civil society organizations have been doing, in spite of their weaknesses and their failings. Look at the budget, for instance, putting pressure on the Lagos state government, other governments, and so on, to ensure transparency in the way they budget and all of that. Look at the SERAP. Look at the JDPC, for instance.
I'm going to hold you on there. I'm going to hold you on as a caller. Hello, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Go ahead.
Good morning, gentlemen.
It's great to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Are you listening to me?
Yes, we are listening.
Yeah, I just want to see some news to concerning Buhari second fire.
Yes.
These people are just pulling us. And I'm going to realize that there are no more instructors. You understand? With this first tenor, in the paper that we only for one tenor, now he's looking for another tenor. He will have put everybody into surprise. I don't understand. What I just want to say to you is that we are no more in school. We don't want that kind of Buhari in our government any longer. We have a new generation that will So that's my contribution.
Okay, thank you so much for contributing. Thank you for that contribution. Yes, Achike, I need to know from you, what areas do you think he's done a bit fair? Has he done any better in any area?
I think the only way we can look at it is to look at the various sectors of the economy of the country.
What area do you think
you're talking about?
Well?
Economy. Nigerians are in dire straits. Forget what they are telling us about the foreign reserve and all of that. That is not, that's not a consequence of deliberate action by the federal government. It is what is happening at the international level that has shot up the prices or the price of crude oil, and that is why our foreign reserve has gone up. So it has nothing to do with this government or any government that comes in, and then the price of, they say they are doing a lot of work in the area of agriculture. Maybe that's the only place I can look at and maybe try to score some positives. But
I'm still going to hold you on there again, sorry, but you can score some positives in agriculture.
Well,
let's get to you.
I will qualify that.
Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
Beautiful, good morning, go ahead.
Okay, on the discussion which you are having here, we thank God for the man that you have there. And in a country where the president or whoever is negotiating with terrorists, to release help that they were doing, and the military to stand at an attention without their gun and give them free passage. And am I the one thinking what is happening? Everywhere you go, everybody negotiate these guys, and we go on and we negotiate them. And one person is doing them. Now they are now distracting us with the president whatever. The content. You can go to them with life. people like us can never complain. That is my own opinion.
Okay, thank you so much.
Let them prepare to vote.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for calling. Wes, we're looking at it also, looking at Nigerians. Can we get, because with what you have said so far, it is obvious that Nigerians still need another leader. Can we truly get someone? Can we truly get someone that we deserve, according to what you've said?
It's a process, and you know, look, the reality is that it's not going to be very easy to get a leader that will be committed to all things Nigeria to the extent of wanting to lay down his life for this country. You need a political leader that believes passionately in Nigeria, and a political leader that has vision, a leader that is ready, if need be, to lay down his life for this country. Because there are hard decisions to be taken at every particular point in time. There are people to go out, to displease, just because you want to do the right thing. There are people, if you want to do the right thing, there are people, if you want, or let me put it this way, more figuratively, if you want to walk in the light, there are people that prefer to walk in darkness. That means you must be confronted by those who walk in the darkness. You understand? You must also be able to defeat them, so that you can now introduce the light.
There's another caller. It's going to be the last caller. We're about rounding off. Hello, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, madam. How are you?
Beautiful. Go ahead.
Yeah, in this country, Nigeria, people are suffering too much. We don't want the focus of Buhari any longer in this country. Just imagine the people, the government that hasn't got the value of people, life of people at heart. It doesn't have people love at heart. Here, next man are killing people. During the other time, people are complaining Boko Haram. Now the number has gone. You could not defeat Boko Haram. And he is more than mentioned in that time that he's going to make the local government ungovernable. In which people are considering that he is the one that's supporting Boko Haram that time. Now he cannot defeat Boko Haram. People are hungry. People are dying. Like a goat. So all these things should be stopped.
Should we be patient with him? Should we be patient with Mr. President?
Yes, we want somebody that will take us to the promised land. We don't want instead of nonsense anymore.
Okay, thank you so much. We're rounding off the program right now. Thank you so much for your contribution. Yes, you were saying something before the caller called, and he heard what he said. He too is tired. So, but can we truly get the leader that we deserve? If we're saying we are tired with this government, we had Jonathan, we were tired. In 2015, we voted him out. Now we're having another president, and Nigerians are becoming, some are saying they are tired, right? Some are saying,
the good thing,
we are not used to change.
The good thing is this, with what is happening is that, especially if ultimately the people cast their vote and the APC is thrown out, then what it's doing is that you are sending a message to the people. But what is most critical in all of this exercise is for votes to count, for people to assess their PVCs. And I don't know whether the media is doing enough. Vera, and that's,
we keep talking about it.
Okay, good. Yes. I'm glad to hear, because
we do that here
people
regularly.
have been complaining seriously
about. You must get your voters card.
Yes. No, it's not about getting the voters card, making the process easy. It is so difficult for people to access their voters cards. I was talking to a Reverend sister recently, not too long ago, and she said she went to a place she was supposed to go, maybe one of the local government council where she will get it, from 7 o'clock to 4 in the evening. But she was so determined, because the more they frustrated her, the more she made up her mind that she was going to wait, and so on. Why would you people put people through this process? And I've had these complaints from everywhere. Somebody just sent me a WhatsApp message about the difficulty of getting the PVC cards and so on. And that's where I'm saying it's not just about you doing your work, by reminding
we got them here.
You need to do the investigation.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got the Lagos.
Yes. INEC
people here to talk, and they always told us that they gave us phone numbers. Maybe we need to invite him again.
Yes,
because we need to sensitize the people.
They need to are complaining.
But we must wrap up now. Final question.
Okay. The president said he wishes he was more younger so that he could do more than he.
That's after he said he was only going to do one term, which you reminded me about.
Which means that gives an implication that youth should be in power. Do you agree?
I don't know about youths being in power. Nigerians should be in power. Credible Nigerians, good Nigerians, committed Nigerians should be in power. You see, the youths have tested power. Let us not deceive ourselves. The youths, you cannot just get, power is never given, it is taken. The youths have to also struggle. Because, I mean, show interest because, you know, their lives are also at stake. You understand? And their future generations and all of that. So it is not, from 1999, let's not forget, let's not be, you know, a historical. From 1999 to date, virtually all the governors in this country were youthful governors. From 42, Edem Duke was 38, Ojikalo also was about 40 or 42, and the rest. What did they do from 1999 to date? They did what the older, you know, politicians were also doing. So we should also, so when you talk about this generational issue, and so we should also be careful. Yes, it is important to involve them because they have the dynamism, they have the energy, they have perhaps maybe the clearness and clarity and so on. But a lot of them are very retrogressive. The younger people that you are talking about today, in fact, their wish, a lot of them, is to be worse than the politicians that we see on the scene today, the younger generation. I can tell, I speak with them. I said some of them, there are some that are committed. Some of them, yes.
Some of them, because I know lots of people are ready to take over power now. But final word from you, we need that advice to the electorate. It's their time right now.
Look, I like what is going on. I mean, the pressure that the APC is being put on is being put on. I mean, the same thing happened with the PDP. So what it shows is that Nigerians are no longer getting to a level where they no longer look at, you know, colors, ethnic affiliations, and so on. They still have their roles to play, but ultimately it is down to my ability to feed myself and my family and so on. And so for any government that does not make it easy for me to live a more meaningful, you know, existence, it's a government I don't want to fraternize. It's a government that we must kick out as quickly as possible, until perhaps this process of, you know, changing and, you know, different governments and so on would now begin to send the, you know, right message to the political class that the people, ultimately the power lies with the people, and they will always exercise that power if we don't treat them well. But what is critical is for our votes to keep on struggling to make sure that our votes properly count, so that the politicians will lose that arrogance they show when they get to power, because they know that the people will kick them out once they have the opportunity.
I want to thank Achike Chude, public affairs commentator. Thank you for coming on the segment.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, viewers at home, up next is SuperDawn Sports, and Prince Willow Vieson is waiting. Let him come and tell me what happened to Bassi. What happened to Messi yesterday? I'm waiting for him to take over this segment. We'll be right back.